Okay.
So I went to Sunday school every Sunday. Thank God that it didn't stick. So it wasn't about believing or not believing. I was just going for the girls. Okay? Anybody relate to that? So let me ask this: who here today is just here for the girls? Anybody? Okay. That is okay.
I'm here for Miss Beverly.
Because when I was 15 years old, one of those girls in Sunday school led me to the truth. That one right there. Awesome. So it's okay. Now, she didn't lead me to the truth immediately. I mean, because we worked together for 40-something years. So after 40 years, then we were together, and my journey started. And she drugged me here. You know, it was tooth and nail. It was pretty tough situation. We started out. Ginger does body work therapy, and one of those therapies is called polarity therapy, and it's actually using energy, your body's energy, to move it in different parts of your body to allow your body to heal itself. So, you know, I'm a chemist and a biologist, and I worked 31 years in nuclear power, so I'm not having none of that, you know. I've just been arguing with Barbara too. It ain't happening. There's no energy moving through my body. So one night it came to a culmination. Ginger just said, okay, we're going to sit down here and we're going to talk about it, and let's start from the beginning. And she said, what is energy? So from that is what you're going to hear today. So that led me to the truth, believe it or not, and I'm sure you all believe it. So from that point on, Ginger and I have started a Wellness Ways organization, and we got pamphlets over there. It's a nonprofit organization, and what we do is we bring together resources. We bring together people to share their wellness ways, so that the people that participate can take these things if they think it works for them on their individual path to wellness. So it's a very, very good sharing situation, and we invite you all to pick up a pamphlet and like us on Facebook so you know when our functions are going to be happening. And what we do, we truly do take the I out of the illness and we replace it with the we to make wellness. Because that's what we're really talking about. Is we're moving from the I consciousness to the we consciousness. That's what we're doing. So please pick up a pamphlet. One cool thing in this, some people ask about this, if you can see this little picture, and they ask what that is, and that's the burning bush where God speaks to you from. So pay attention when you pick that up and see that burning bush. So I'll go ahead, and this is titled The Science of God, or What is Energy. So, like I said, this is what came from that long, long night where we started from the beginning. So, it's been proposed that this physical world is an illusion. Okay? And we're just in the imagination of God. And if that's so, then we cannot be apart from God, but we have to be of God. So, let's go through this situation and see if we can prove that scientifically that is the truth. Okay? So, simplest definition of energy is capacity to create. So, energy is the capacity to create. So, electricity running through a light bulb creates light. Pushing a lawnmower across your yard creates shorter grass. So, nothing in this universe happens without energy. And that sounds like God, right there. Okay, case closed. We'll go further. So, what's another definition of energy? Energy is everything. Everything is energy. So we're going to do a little classical physics. We're going to do some quantum physics. Do some chemistry. We're going to do some biology. We're going to do some numerology. And unfortunately, at the end, there is a test. But you'll be okay because I'm going to give you the formula so you can do the calculations. And also, we're going to do a little magic. As a matter of fact, what we're going to do today is we're going to make this rock disappear. In front of your eyes, this rock will disappear. Okay? So, Everything is made up of atoms. This rock is made up of atoms. You're made up of atoms. So let me draw a simple atom on the board. You've got a nucleus, and in that is a proton and neutrons, okay? Protons are positive, they have mass. Neutrons have no charge, no mass. Neutrons are just simply there to glue the positive charges together. And somewhere out here, we have an electron, negative and positive. That is all matter is. That's it. That's the only things that we call matter. So I'm going to just draw an imaginary orbit right here. So it kind of looks like what you remember back in school, okay? Now, I'm going to go off in a little rabbit hole right here because I'm always inspired by lens. I'm going to try some lens stuff, all right? So we were talking about these protons and neutrons and electrons. What about that right there? Sign of the beast, right? That's the sign of lower man, right? So I got to thinking about this atom and these things here, and I thought, what did they call us in Star Trek? We are carbon-based units, right? So maybe that's where the 666 came from. Because if you go back to the atom, you got 6 protons, you got 6 neutrons, and you got 6 electrons. What does that equal? Carbon. Maybe that's where it came from, you know? 5,000 years ago, these guys knew this stuff. It took us 5,000 years to figure it out. So that's amazing stuff. Now I'm going to do some more now. Lynn talked about the numbers. He talked about 7 and 12, you know, 7 churches, 7 notes in the music scale, 7 castaways in Gilligan's Island. Got that one. You know, he's got that one. My favorite number to talk about is 9. Okay, 9 represents consciousness and returning to source. I mean, after I went to Jesus, returned to source in the 9th hour. Okay? So 9 is always returning to source. So what that means is 1 times 9 equals 9. 2 times 9, 18, 1 plus 8 equals 9, right? 3 times 9, it's going to get hard in a minute. 3 times 9 is 27. 2 plus 7 equals 9. Can everybody see that? Lynn, how about this one? 27 times 9.
Equals 9.
4, 23. 4 plus 2 plus 3 equals 9. What else returns to source? How about a circle? Starts here, returns to source, right? Well, circle is 360 degrees, right? 3 plus 6 plus 0 equals 9. So what about man? So let's apply this to man. It's 666. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. So that says right there we're going to return to source. Okay? So we're done again. I'll go further. Am I going too fast?
No, I got it.
Way too fast. Slow down. Ginger gave me the signal. She went like that.
Yeah.
A little too fast.
Dividing the circle.
Huh?
Divide the circle.
There it goes. 9.
180 degrees.
That's 9. That's correct. We'll put that in.
90 degrees.
So 9 returns to source. We're going to return to source. Okay. So atoms. So let's go back to the atom and get off the rabbit hole. So atoms are vibrating energy, and the vibration slows down enough, it becomes physical matter. But even then, even in this rock, there's still vibration going on. Now, back when I was in college, they taught if you get down to minus 459 degrees Fahrenheit, all vibration would stop. They don't say that now. They know now that if that happens, then this ceases to exist at all. Because everything's got vibration, okay, or it doesn't exist. So there's really life in everything, organic and inorganic, really, if you determine life by the vibration going on. Now let's look at this drawing. So what strikes me in looking at this atom, that it's mostly empty space, right? So it's empty space filled with energy. So So this rock is mostly empty space. We are mostly empty space. Now, is there a good way for you to wrap your mind around that this rock is empty space? Mostly empty space. Let me tell you, you mentioned your lawnmower. You mentioned the lawnmower, you push the lawnmower. Here's the way that I had a chemistry teacher finally get me to understand this. And he used a lawnmower. So if you look at a lawnmower, let me try to draw a lawnmower. It's got wheels on it right here. So you're looking underneath this lawnmower, right? There's the blade. There's the blade. Okay. Like this atom, underneath that lawnmower is mostly empty space. But you crank that thing up, you ain't gonna feel like it's empty space anymore, right? So that's a way to wrap your mind around this, that rock is mostly empty space, but put your finger under that lawnmower, I don't think you can do that. So how much empty space is it? So let's do some science. We'll get exact. So exactly how much empty space is in that rock? How much empty space is in you? So we can get exact on this. 99 point. You are 99.139% empty space. There ain't a whole lot of it. Okay? Just that. So all you are, remember, I said that all you are these. This is the only solid matter in the universe. There's those protons and those electrons. So let's take all the empty space out of all 7 billion of us on Earth. What do you think that would reduce down to? I'm going to draw it to scale. That's a sugar cube. 1 sugar cube will be all of us. So now we've taken this down, and all the 7 billion people on Earth, and we got it down to where we are nothing but a sugar cube of matter. So let's go further now. There's scientists in quantum physics looking at these things here, these electrons and these protons, that say even those things are not particles. They're not solid. They are really more like energy waves. And all these particles are, science can predict generally where they are in space and time. But that's all they can do. So these are really true energy waves. So what does that mean? Solid matters literally disappear. Okay? Now, doesn't that kind of make sense when you think about it? Has anybody ever thought about this? You got this negative particle here, and you got this particle, positive particle here. You ever thought about why that doesn't crash right into that anyway? So why doesn't they track, right? It doesn't happen those. And that's because the smaller the particle is, the larger the quantum wave. And the smallest particle is this electron. So it has the very largest quantum wave. It is so expansive, it's so spread out, that it can't be squished into this nucleus because it is so big. So squished is a southern scientific word.
Amen.
So it would be squished. So probably some of you are thinking now, well, why can't the 99.139% empty space in my hand go through the 99.999 empty space in this lecture? Why can't it go through it? Well, the answer has to do with the forces that are binding my atoms together on my hand, and the forces that are binding the atoms to this on hand. And these are strong, strong forces. It's billions of atoms. And their forces pushing equally hard against the atoms in my hand. That's why my hand can't go through this. Now, that just gives you the appearance of solidity, right? But it's not an inherent part of matter. Solidness is not inherent in matter at all. So I'll let you digest that while I read it. So how strong are these forces in our hands? Okay. if you have one mosquito, and you take away all the electrons out of that mosquito, okay, what you're left with is all of these positive things, and they're going to go away, right? They're going to send each other off. They're going to explode. What power would that one mosquito exploding be, if you could do that? The power of global mass extinction, like 65 million years ago, that killed the dinosaurs. That much power from one mosquito if you took all their electrons away, just because of the forces inside this repelling each other. So, any questions on that? One mosquito. So, electric force is 10,000 billion times stronger than gravity. So, I can't even write, I don't know how to write that number down. So back to the rock. This rock, what would have more potential energy? This rock, or, I don't have one, a cigarette lighter? What do you think would have the most energy? That hot cigarette lighter or this rock? Well, unless this cigarette lighter is bigger than this rock and weighs more, the rock has more energy. I mean, it has more potential energy in it than the cigarette lighter, just because of the nature of its mass is more than the cigarette lighter. So Einstein told us that. So I think I'm through with that now. So Einstein said E equals mc squared. Okay, so this is energy, this is mass, and this is the speed of light squared. It's a big number. It is 186,000 miles per second, plus or minus under, several hundred miles per second. Another rabbit hole to go down, another land thing. So in 2 Kings, the tribe of Judah is described as the tribe of light, right? So go into Numbers, I think it's chapter 2, verse 9, and see how many people were in the tribe of light. What number is associated with the tribe of light?
186,170.
There you go. So they knew 5,000 years before we figured that out. That's another one of those things. How did they know that? How did they know that? You got to wonder those kind of things. The Bible is just loaded full of that kind of information. So getting back to the equation now. Now this thing is really just a conversion factor, converting mass to energy. It's a huge number. So taking into account that that's just a conversion factor, then really I can reduce this to E equals M. Okay? Energy, mass equals mass. Mass equals energy. It's the same thing. Energy and mass is the same thing. Now this is not talking about a mass of a cigarette, a butane, or mass of gasoline. Any mass converted is equal to energy, right? So what does that mean? That means if you take 1 gram of the cigarette lighter, if you take 1 gram of this rock, you take 1 gram of water, you take 1 gram of your toenail, you know what 1 gram is, right? 1 gram is a dollar bill. Take 1 gram of that and convert it, if you could convert it to 100% energy, it would be 586,000 gallons of gasoline. Enough electric power to power 25 million homes. 1 gram of your toenail. That's what it says. Just right there. So what we've reduced down to is just matter is energy. And my favorite guy, Einstein, said, quote, "What we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter." End quote. So Einstein told us too. Einstein. So I'm going to wear you out with the physics stuff. No. Well, I'm going to take a break from physics. We're going to do a little chemistry and some biology. Lynn said that we are made of stardust. Because he says in the Bible, that's what a far, say it for me. A far. Okay. I guess us that can't roll the R's or don't have twice as much stardust as the rest of them. Okay. So can we prove what Lynn said scientifically? So let's see if we can do that. So 3 seconds after the Big Bang, the universe cooled enough that all the subatomic particles could start collecting together. And they collected together. I don't think I need this. So they collected together and they formed hydrogen, the simplest element, right? 3 seconds after the Big Bang. So hydrogen is Big Bang dust, okay? So a short time later, about 300 million years, the universe started, because of gravity, some of these hydrogen atoms started clumping together. And they kept building, because of gravity, and they kept building. These clumps kept getting bigger and bigger until the center of the clump got up, the pressure increased so much because so much of this hydrogen is clumping on it. It increased the temperature to 15 million degrees Fahrenheit. So when the temperature got that, something started happening. This hydrogen atom joined with this hydrogen atom and produced helium. So here's the squish again. So these two hydrogen atoms are positively charged, squished together, and formed a new element, helium. Okay? So this helium, one cool thing about this is it also produces, it gives up some of the mass, because remember E equals mc squared, using that equation, and you get light energy. Okay? So this is what's happening in the sun right now. So the sun's full of these hydrogen atoms, and they're squishing together because of nuclear fusion, and it's producing light. Okay? Now, over time, the sun's going to start running out of this hydrogen supply, and some of these things are going to start happening. So now, the hydrogen is going to start joining with a helium and forming a new element, lithium, plus light. So that's going to go on for millions of years. So there's the stardust. So you can see everything except Big Bang dust is stardust. So this goes on and on and on until it makes all the elements, right? Well, really, truly, it makes all the way up to the element of iron, because after iron, it doesn't give off extra energy enough to keep the reaction going. So then the star, I think it concentrates on itself and it bursts and sends out all of this stardust to everywhere, to us. Okay? So I forgot to tell you one, no, I'm not going to do that now. So if we know how much hydrogen is in our body, y'all, we know that, right? You know, I think it's mostly in the form of water, right? So if we know how much hydrogen is in our body, we can calculate how much stardust is in our body, right? So we know that we have 7 times 10 to the 27 atoms in our body. Unless you pick your nose, you might not have quite as many atoms. Okay? So this is how many atoms are in our body. You know, we know, let me get this right. I don't want to mess this calculation. We know that we have 4.2 times 10 to 27 that's 7 times 7 with 27 zeros after it. Okay? Billion, 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 I think is what. So we know that in our body, there are 4.2 times 10 to the 27 hydrogens in our body. So you just subtract it out, and it comes to be 2.8 times 10 to the 27 stardust atoms. Okay? So divide that by 7 times 10 to the 27, multiply 100, and we are 40% of our atoms are stardust. Now it gets better. It gets better because hydrogen is such a light, less mass thing. Let's do this calculation based on weight. So because all the stardust atoms are much, much heavier. If you do the calculation then, you come. I'm not going to play this, by the way. Just when Ray does it, it looks cool. So I'm just going to carry it. So If you do it that way, it comes out to be 93% of your atoms are stardust by weight. By volume, 40%. But by weight, you're 93% stardust. The rest of you is Big Bang dust. Okay? So, if you have any brain cells left from 1969, you'll know what Joni Mitchell meant. Right? We are stardust. We are golden. And we got to get ourselves back to the garden. Everybody. We are stardust. We are golden. And we got to get ourselves back to the garden. Thank you. Woo. Lynn, they was already in the farm. So, you and I are a mass of vibrating energy, okay? So, our energy can actually be measured in hertz. So, hertz is cycles per second. So, a human body in good health will average between 63, I'll write these down for you. Get rid of the long one. So, I just call that normal health. 63 to 68 megahertz. Now, megahertz is a million hertz. So, that's 63 to 68 million cycles per second. That's the vibration of the energy in the body. So, like Barbara said, now when you get sick or injured, the flow of that energy from your body is blocked. And that will result in irritation, inflammation, illness, in other words, disease. Okay? That's stopped. And when I was talking about Ginger earlier, Ginger works through that with her techniques, and she works to get that energy back flowing through. So, and that's a healing touch is what I call healing touch. So that's where we started out, so now we're back to that. So let's try to feel our energy real quick. Everybody, let's sensitize our nerves. Everybody take your hands and just start rubbing it. Rub it hard.
Uncross your legs.
And uncross your legs. Got to get your energy flowing. All right, get them hot. All right, now I want you to take your hands and feel them about 2 inches apart. I just want you to concentrate. And if you feel a tingling, that is the energy that's flowing out of your body, in through your body, inside your body. You're feeling it. Now remember I talked about the tremendous forces that are binding your atoms together. Just slightly think of this. Just push your hands together. Just bounce. Can you feel a resistance between your hands? You feel that resistance? Play with that. Just turn it over. Bounce. Do that ball. And that resistance, that's energy that's flowing in your body. And flowing out of your body. And flowing through your body. So that's the energy that we're talking about. So, if your energy, if the frequency of that energy gets down to 58 megahertz, then you're going to be susceptible to colds and flu. Okay? If it gets down to, let me get this right. If it gets down to 42 megahertz, you're susceptible to cancer. If it gets down to 25 megahertz, then you're in the death process. So that's the death process. So can you see that your energy, the frequency of your energy gets into these levels? Well, you got to do something to get them back up. So what are the ways you can restore your body back to its original frequency? So several ways you can do it. First one is sound therapy. Beverly, talk a little bit about sound therapy.
I've been doing a lot of research
and studying. As a matter of fact, I'm writing a new book called Sin, S-I-N, on a sound wave.
Oh, wow.
Because sin is not what we've been taught, and I came here this morning to find out you taught on it last night. Barbara's chart over here, 528 hertz. Is anybody familiar with that? Has anybody researched or read any of that on music? Okay, the original biblical tuning of instruments were at 528 hertz. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. Okay, when you get the mi, that is miracle. That's a miracle tone. It's a tone of love. Okay, on Barbara's chart, in the chakra system, in the heart area, green. And when you see green in a rainbow, do you know why the sound? It's 528 hertz. All green grass, all vegetation vibrates at 528 hertz. Hummingbirds. If you ever watch a hummingbird, they move in perfect thirds, fifths, and octaves. They resonate at 528 hertz. All you have to do, and this is what I'm doing, I'm teaching a lot of musicians, and I've worked in Nashville for years and produced a lot of artists. But now between Nashville and Florida, I've got a lot, I'm teaching out of Kaiser University. I've been teaching a lot of musicians, praise and worship leaders, rock bands, classic rock bands, anybody, songwriting, anybody. Retune your guitars, retune your instruments. You can take, everybody's in a standard tuning now of instruments at 440 hertz, okay? If you just bump it up to 444, when you play your C chord, you're going to hit that 528 hertz. David said, I will sing the sound of Yahweh. Do you know there's a sound to his name? Do you know that it's been tuned out of our music?
Yes.
Do you know that it causes disease in the human body? It causes chaos. Everything that you're seeing in society and culture is what is happening in the music. This is so important that we get this. If we realize that our medicine has been tampered with and our food has been tampered with, why wouldn't our music be tampered with? Everything has. And your hearing is everything. And I love it where when Jesus was in the garden and Peter took the soldier's sword and he sliced his ear off. And the Lord picked it up and he said, oh no, Peter, they need an ear to hear. We need an ear to hear. This is restoring. I've had people restored and healed of cancer from playing my guitar over them. I've done some crazy stuff, wrap my legs around them, put my guitar in their lap and just play. I had a songwriter out of Nashville just a month ago, healed of ALS, played my guitar. He wanted to play it, and I was like, go ahead. Played it for an hour. Went and did tests, totally free. It takes no time for that DNA to resonate with love. And this is for real, I'm not kidding. It really works, y'all. He's absolutely right with these numbers. If we go down, I hit a point in my life, went through everything, lost a son, a mother, everything, a divorce, bankruptcy. I was suicidal. I came across this and I just retuned my guitar. I didn't really believe it. I retuned my guitar. And I sat there and I thought, this is bull. this didn't work. And I sat there and I played and I played. I got up and I walked away and my whole body was resonating with that guitar. And I was like, what's going on here? And I went back and I went back. And this is what I teach every music. I lifted, raised my own frequency and did this and brought healing in my body.
Yeah.
Every musician that I talk to, and you guys know this, they always say, I want to make a difference with my music. But let me tell you, I'm teaching them how to do it. Retune that guitar. People will be healed under your sound, under the sound of your voice. You will begin correcting. Yeah, our words are important, and we got all that during the whole Kenneth Copeland thing, you know, you can have what you say and all of that. Well, you take what you say with a frequency and a sound, I'm telling you, you're bringing heaven to earth.
Yeah.
You are changing the dynamics of everything. Thank you. That's all I got to say.
So, thanks so much. So another way that you can use to raise your vibration up, positive thoughts you can add 15 megahertz just from positive thoughts. And I got another Einstein quote. I love Einstein. Einstein said, quote, "Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics." So, you know, we are creators and we create our reality.
That's right.
So, but it's science. Einstein said it, right? It's science. Healing touch therapy, what gender does, some of what gender does adds 8 megahertz. Nutrition, you know, fresh produce plus 15 megahertz. Herbs, 22 megahertz. Processing canned food, would anybody guess what that would be? It can't be negative, remember, or it wouldn't exist. You know, it's got, everything's got vibration. Near zero, okay? Near zero. The largest thing that you can do, and I'm not trying to sell this or anything, but essential oils.
But he will.
Yeah, but I will. Essential oils, 52 to 320 megahertz. Let's talk about essential oils just a minute. Essential oil is called essential because first off, it's essential for the plant's life, right? Because what it does, it heals the plant and protects the plant. Okay? But you know, it also contains the essence of God, because on what day did he create the plants? So he created those plants for food and one other thing, and that's medicine. He gave us all the medicine we need. And you're going to be hearing more and more about this. Recently there was an article that said in just a few years, no antibiotics, no pharmaceutical antibiotics are going to work. Right?
That's true.
All of a sudden you're going to hear big.
That's true. That is true.
And real soon you're going to hear about this new discovery about, hey, essential oils. Every essential oil is antibiotic, antifungal, and guess what? Antiviral. And there's really not a pharmaceutical around that's antiviral, right? I mean, you got, what, Tamiflu, 98% ineffective. So essential oils, every essential oil is antiviral. So you're going to be hearing this. The Bible mentioned essential oils over 1,000 times. And matter of fact, 33 specific essential oils are mentioned in the Bible. So God gave us these things, and what essential oil has is it's got life force, it's got this vibration, it's got the vibration, and it's got intelligence. And let me tell you what this intelligence thing, I was a little bit iffy. How does this have intelligence? It's got God's intelligence. If you have your right knee is hurt, and you're going to use some essential oil therapy on it, if you take that bottle of frankincense and you turn it over and pour it on the injured knee, that stuff will flow out. You take that same bottle, go over to the healthy knee, you can't hardly get a drop out. Your body, it knows. I mean, your body is telling that oil, I need it. So that's God's intelligence in that oil.
Yeah. Wow.
So let me give you some real data. I don't have any data for sound therapy, scientific studies. I do have some for essential oils, and I just want to mention this real quick. Bruce Canio in 1992 did this experiment, just to show you how it works. Two healthy, one guy was 26, the other guy was 24, and they both measured 66 megahertz. Okay, so they got the first guy, A, 66 megahertz. And they handed him a cup of coffee. He didn't drink it. They just handed him a cup of coffee. And in 3 seconds, he went down to 58 megahertz.
Wow.
So they gave him an essential oil, and he just breathed the essential oil. And in 21 seconds, he was back to 66 megahertz.
What oil was that?
Huh? I don't know. In the experiment, what? I would guess frankincense. I love frankincense. Speed. So started out at 66 megahertz. Gave him a cup of coffee, and in 3 seconds, he drank it. He went down to 52 megahertz. That's danger level to me. Wasn't that cancer? You're susceptible to cancer. Okay? They did not give this poor guy any essential oil. So he got back to 66 megahertz 3 days. So you can tell the difference that kind of stuff makes. So this is data from Bruce Tanio in 1992. Uh-huh.
You don't even have to hold that coffee. You can think coffee and it'll do the same thing. If you know about muscle testing,
Yep.
you can muscle test somebody and just have them think about coffee or think any negative thought and their arm will drop. That's right.
Yeah, well, me and Deepak Chopra both have a specific blood type that ours require coffee. I take a lot a day at least.
Actually, Lynn, that's true.
I know it's true, I
Coffee
wouldn't say
is,
it.
coffee is medicinal to A blood types. And it's toxic to O blood types,
A?
yes. It is.
See?
It's true.
Ginger, you gotta have.
So I talked about all these ways you can bring it up, right? Well, negative thoughts, minus 12. Minus 12. So you're going to drop with negative thoughts. You're going to go down 12. Okay? Just negative thoughts. Meditation, plus 15. Just meditation. Let's look at the total energy spectrum. So I'll start.
Towards 0 point, that's the name of the book.
I'll start with the physical energies that we're used to, right? So the highest physical energy is magnetism. And I think that oscillates somewhere around like 500 trillion per second or something. Now, the energies as you step down manifest themselves in different kinds of energies, okay? So in a nuclear plant, in a power plant, you've got these magnets that are turning around this coil of wire, and it has resistance in the wire, and it starts the electrons flowing through the wire. So if you step down magnetism, you get electricity. So we're comfortable with that, right? You step down electricity, what do you get? Well, when the electricity runs through these light bulbs, you get light. Okay, what else when it's running through that light bulb? Don't touch that light bulb, right? It gets heat. Okay, if you slow down heat, what do you get? You get sound. So if you put a microphone, there'll be a microphone in the ice trace. When that ice transitions from liquid to solid, you can hear that sound. I mean, you can. That it's been recorded. It's a groan. Okay, if you slow down sound, what do you get? You get matters. Okay? So it's all the same thing, just the frequencies. Right? You're stepping down the frequencies. Now, what about the spiritual energy? So there's that. Well, of course, the highest frequency is God, or love. All right? Below that comes thought. Step down thought, you get feelings. And then below feelings is magnetism. Okay? So what that says to me, this scientifically now I understand something in the Bible. God spoke the universe. Right? So that's science now. So God said, Lynn said the phrase, and God said 10 times in Genesis, right? So word is a vibration, it's a frequency, it's a consciousness, and it's an expression of energy. Now, initially the idea of something being formed from a word sounds ridiculous, right? But you can see it makes scientific sense. So the word spoken sets up a vibratory condition that allows it to be heard. And remember, without vibration, all that is would cease to exist. That's because everything is composed of a basic universal substance, energy, or God.
Right.
So everything's made of God. Okay? So, last thing, I want to do some numerology.
That was also the number 9.
Huh?
That was also the number 9.
Oh, it was? 9 of them? Wow. I'll put that in my presentation. Okay, let's do some numerology now. I'm new to this stuff. I mean, I heard Lynn and started getting interested in it. You know, it works for English too. It really does. They got English Kabbalah. And that's the basis for what I'm doing now. So, energy. We're going to do it scientifically, okay? So, energy, that's 5, 14. You can figure out where these numbers come from. 18, 7, 25. Okay. So that's the vibration of these English letters, okay? So what does that come up to? 74. What's the seventh letter? G.
Right.
What's the fourth letter? D. God. Okay, so energy spells God. All right, but we're doing science here, so you can't take one data point and draw a line. So we got to do science. We got to find something else to support that energy is God. So let's look at God. Okay, so God is 7, 15, and 4. So that adds up to be 26. 2 plus 6 equals 8. So that's the total for God. Let's go look at the root total, because you do a lot of things with the root total. So 7, 1 plus 5 equals 6. 4 is 4. So 17, 8. So the root total and the root number of God is 8. The root number of God is 8. If it makes sense, turn an 8 sideways. What do you got? Infinity. Look at 8 this way. You got a big principle here. As above, so below. Okay? So the root number is God. 17 reduces to 8. So let's go back over here and look at this. Now, one thing in the English Kabbalah, if you look at just the vowels, then you come up and you can determine what they call the animating spirit. So what is the animating spirit of energy? So we do a 5, and we do, where's that number? 5, and then a 7. So that comes out to be what? 17, 8. So the animating spirit of energy is God.
How, would you add those up, like 14 is 5, 18 is 9?
That's how I did it this way. And then I'm just looking at the vowels. 5 plus 5
Oh, you're
plus
just looking
7.
at vowels, like I was.
Yeah, just doing the vowels. This is what they call animating spirit in the English.
Gotcha, I was thinking like N is 14, 5, that breaks down to 5, that's what I was looking at.
So now, that's right.
9 and 7, that's, I'm sure means something.
So God is the animating spirit of energy. Okay, makes sense? Wow. One thing I'm going to leave you with now, in the English Kabbalah, so the second letter is a B, the sixth letter is an F, the eighth letter is an H. Now, interestingly enough, in the English Kabbalah, H is pronounced as H. So what does that say? B of each. So God is B of each. So I will leave you with that.
A writing book called Awakened Realities from Kathy. She doesn't like getting in front of people. And so she's more of a writer. But going along with some of the things that you were saying a few years ago, her mom passed and we were doing Reiki. And while we were doing Reiki, her mother, after she had passed, appeared to her. And she saw her face. And what was spoken to her is, you have always heard you are loved, but you never felt that you were loved. And kind of put her into a journey. We actually were supposed to go through all this initiation.
Well, the thing was, after my mom passed, I lived in Dalton, Texas, and we were originally from Arkansas. It's come to story wrong. And she passed suddenly, so I didn't get to say goodbye to her. And so I was in meditation in Dallas, back home, and I said, Lord, let me feel my mom's love one more time. Let me see her. And God said, you can't feel her love because you don't know what love is. And we'd already been married 8 years. And I said, what do you mean I don't know what love is? I've been married, I've been serving you. What do you mean? He said, what you think of as love is like the mustard seed. Because I have a warped idea. We have a warped idea of what love is. Because if anyone shows us any kind of attention, it's acceptance. We have our idea of acceptance and our idea of love is confused. And through the death of my mom, I began to learn and know what love was, or is. And that's how the story goes.
I'm trying to go read this. Okay,
You
we have
I
chosen
shared
to
the story,
believe.
you read it.
Have chosen to believe the lie that we have created about self rather than know the truth that encompasses us. We search for a God that only exists in our minds. Why? Because we have created a God that only forgives when we beg, only loves us when we are tired and weary, only comforts us when we are fearful or in pain. A God who judges us himself, she has in parentheses, and a God who is off in the distance, all because we believe we are separate from God and we have to toe the line to get in his good graces. We have chosen our belief systems over our beingness. And then this one here, religious people are repressed. They are schizophrenic and they are prisoners of their needs and desires. If they stay repressed long enough, their desires become powerful, but they can't control them anymore. Through victimization, they chose to believe many lies. One will show at the front door, one at the back, one in public. One doesn't show anywhere, not even themselves. For years, they repressed the anger, greed, fear, until finally they become compressed to the point that they can't stand anymore and their lives become nightmares. But we can go into a different direction. And I always love this article because for years we talk about depression, oppression, but most of us really do suffer from repression. That we are literally just, there's something on the inside of us that when you really know yourself and you're really introduced to you, there is so much repression. And I never could understand that in teaching deliverance and all this. I was like, why am I trying to get them from being depressed and oppressed? Why not just release their spirit? Why not just release what's in them? Of course, I had to struggle with that. But anyway, that's Kathy Eaton. And so you can get up here and read some more. Thank you.
What's going on with me in this chapter of my life is the scripture that Jesus thought it not robbery to be equal with God.
Amen.
And this is what I'm after in my life. And what blesses me with that is the story that if a king had a little baby that was kidnapped and was raised by low-class people for years and years, and then finally he was returned back to his home in the castle with the king and the queen as his parents, and he was raised as a low-class person, even though he was put in that environment, that he was by position a prince and a son of that house. Mentally, he would not believe that. He would have the mentality of that low-class person. And to bring that home to me, I was raised on a sharecropper farm in middle Georgia, and I picked cotton for real while I went to school. And we did, my daddy grew cotton, corn, peanuts in the back, and we worked it as a family. And I remember as a little girl sitting on my cotton sack. You know, there was everything I didn't like in the cotton patch. There were spiders, and there were wasps, and there were sand spurs, and from hell itself, there were grasshoppers. And today, a grasshopper will make me hurt myself. But when I use my life as an analogy to think that me, out of the cotton patch, to be equal with God, He hath already seated me in that heavenly place. That is my position.
Yes.
But because I can't really grasp that, and I cannot route my mind around that, I still call it robbery to be equal. Because something in the human mentality, if I say I'm equal with God, it's almost like I'm pulling God down to my level. But the opposite is true. To believe, to know rather, that we're equal with God raises us up to that excuse me. And when we no longer can count it robbery in our mind, and we know we have intercoursed and conceived of the truth that it's not robbery, that I am made in His image, that I am His seed, I am what God is. I am the semen that was ejaculated from God when he got overjoyed with himself and produced me.
Yes.
Is that too strong? I can take that to the next level, but I'm gonna let you use your own.
We'll edit that.
It's not robbery, it's not wrong. It's, you know, a daddy, all the mamas and daddies, if your children came to you when they were small and said, "Oh, Ray, are we gonna have some supper tomorrow? Oh, Lynn, you gonna buy us some clothes?" It would break our heart if our children didn't trust us and know us any better than that, that out of love of us, they were gonna provide for us. We want our children to know that they got the family name. Everything we have is theirs. Even the prodigal son, when he went out and did his thing and came back, he was still entitled to what his daddy had left. It was his. And for me, I'm learning, and I try to keep my mind stayed on that high thing. It's not robbery for even me to be equal with God. To know that God is here, not just in me, he's here as me.
Yes.
You can say, Christ in me, the hope of glory. Well, hope's always out here like a carrot in front of a donkey. In the by and by, someday. But there's another scripture that says, I am dead and my life is hid with Christ in God. If he's in me, then he's in there and I'm manifest. Amen. But if I'm in here, and my life is hid and he's out here, he's manifest. And it's not robbery to declare, if you've seen me, you've seen my Father.
Yes.
That makes
Who's that? Dorada?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, no question, lady.
What, you want me to tell you what you sling on the nose?
No. No, I'm picking on you.
Well, I can tell you that where my husband and I have been over the past year and a half, where we've been over the past year and a half, we were serving in churches as on staff as pastors, Assemblies of God and non-denominational, and I could so relate to Mark. I mean, I got saved every summer, like for 10 years probably. And I've only known that thinking, that mentality, and for the past year and a half, we've really gotten free. And life is so much fun.
Yeah.
And I was telling someone at the table today that I had an interaction with someone that really hurt my feelings, and I wanted to distance myself from that person, but instead I did the opposite, and I moved toward them by humility and asking them to forgive me for hurting them, even though I didn't feel like I'd done anything. But still, it was in my heart, I wanted to move in a different direction than I normally would have. And I thought to myself, I'm acting more like a Christian now than I did when I said I was a Christian. So it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey, not without some really interesting. And I think the birth of our son, we have a 4-year-old who has Down syndrome. That, I think, was one of the most significant one of the most significant things that caused us to change the entire trajectory of our life and our world. And Barbara said, you begin to see something that was just so bad, it ends up being the best, you know, one of the best things ever. And I never ever saw the birth of my son as negative, but I saw the anxiety and all that PTSD and all that stuff was going on in me around that time, and it was all that fear that God's going to take my son, that I've done something wrong, that this is my fault, all of it. And I don't feel like that at all anymore, not at all. Life is beautiful. So I'm so glad that we've made connections with other people who are on the same road and at the same point in the journey even. It's a beautiful place to be. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna draw a picture too. So this is a brain. It's not my brain because it's too big. So this is left, and this is right. And so this is more logic, and this is more spirit, intuitive, if you will. And so I operate very heavily here. I really liked your talk. Now this other stuff, I kind of get it because I keep listening to it, and I keep listening to it, so I get the spiritual side, but I lean heavily on Barbara for that. And so it's funny because as we've been married 37 years, and so we, as I kind of went up through, I've been with the same company for 33 years, and so as I worked very hard and did all the things that I needed to do to progress the company ladder that I thought was so important, and actually I've come to really enjoy it, but I did all those things, and as I went up the ladder, and then as Barbara, through the church and the institution, did all those things to become very influential in the church and rise up, and all the struggles we had, it was like parallel train tracks. All the obstacles that I ran into, I would come home and I'd share with her, and then she would share her obstacles that she had, and there was the same obstacles, just in two different realms. It was actually rather spooky. That the secular world and the spiritual world are really the same. And what happened as we kind of came up, we kind of started to plateau, and we started to get very agitated. This was 9 years ago. Me and my world, and hers and her world. She started having a lot of problems she started to believe some things that were different than other people in the church, and she couldn't help but speak it, and of course there was a lot of problems. You know, she went through a lot of issues with the pastor at the church, trying to control her words and her message. And I started to run into the same problems with the people that were my boss at work. I kind of rose to a level, and all of a sudden, I found a mechanism to work separate from him and still do my work, but it finally came to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I've been with this company 25 years, and I had a great deal of fear, as did Barbara, because we've hit the ceiling and we've got to bust out. We just can't take it anymore. And I actually went through a period of about 9 months, just, what am I going to do? Sorting it all out, writing it all out. I mean, I had such fear that I never realized how much fear I had. But it wasn't until I realized that they did not control my destiny. I did. And when I realized that, and as Barbara started to realize, I have my spiritual path, it's not theirs. And when we ditched the fear and just moved on with or without them, and the funniest thing happened when I approached the owner of the company and told him, I can't do this anymore, and this is the way it ought to be. And I laid out the whole reorganization of the structure of the whole company, thinking full well he'd just fire me. And he said, well, you know, that was very brave of you to come to me with this. It took a lot of courage. And I just told him there's no consequence from this meeting, I'm not prepared for it. And when he realized he no longer had fear to control me with, our whole relationship changed. He gave me more influence. He gave me more money. I mean, everything changed. And so to your point, when you overcome fear, the whole world changes. And so whatever it is that's holding you down, if you have fear in your life, address it. And it's scary. I mean, it took me 9 months to address my demon. So that's my message.
I'm sorry, I missed most of it, I just woke up.
There you are. I thought
Then
you
you were
left.
talking.
I'm walking the dog.
Don't y'all like to hear something fresh, like it just come to you?
Come
I'm
on.
dumb enough to start sharing. I was telling Barb way back in Arkansas when I was there a little over a year ago, and I put my foot in my mouth. Leigh and I had broke up, and I was feeling lonely, and I went to church. Anyway, I heard some, boy, I was in a Sunday school class, there was at least this many people, it was a huge church, and boy, something hit me about the age of Aquarius. I said, oh God, they looked at me like, well, here goes again. Somebody spoke something this morning, and it just hit me. You know the story, Jacob and Esau, when they're born, and then the prophecy about the elder would serve the younger. Well, I've never got anything out of that my entire life. I didn't. What does this mean? What do we do with this? Because in Hebrew, the older gets the inheritance, and so that's just the way it is. And so what does that mean for me? I've never gotten anything until this morning, and it's talking about two different consciousness. One conscious, it said when Esau was born, he was red. Well, guess who else that represents? Adam. He is of the consciousness of the first Jesus, the first Adam. He represents earthlies, and so he goes and he deals for his birthright, for something to eat with his brother. And what color was the stew that he was eating? Red. I mean, he's eating of the dust of the earth continually. And so, for the first time I saw it, boy, this story is representing our thinking. And then after Jacob wrestles with God and we fall, I'm a forester and I work in the woods, and boy, I remember that day. I was out in the woods and I said, God, I want to know how the hell this works. I mean, I was throwing out, I didn't hold back. And so I had an awakening that day, and so things started changing the way I think and my consciousness. And so obviously Jacob is representing the enlightened, the second Adam. So,
You know what you want to do, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
We need to see that yet, though.
Get things
You think? Almost.
It is good to give thanks to the Lord.
gentleman put up here a while ago, that word is, the actual pronunciation is sophros une. It is used in the book of Luke where the demoniac was of the right-mindedness. It's also the same verse used for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. The translation is wellness, sane, sound, a healthy frame of mind. But it goes back to the Greek word sozo, which we know as wholeness. But the other word is a Greek word, P-H-R-N, which is the diaphragm, which is the raw emotions that is under chakras, which means that when we come into really seeing, we process these emotions through our midriff, that's actually the Strong's, into our diaphragm and come into the wholeness that we are to come into.
That's cool.
Transmutation.